Welcome back to HPL. We just saw Ostkaka get on the board here in Game 3. He was down 2-0, now only down 2-1. Now, we've had a lot of people get out to 2-0 leads, and we saw one reverse sweep yesterday, but I think that was the only match that's actually forced a Game 5 after being down 2-0. So let's see if Ostkaka can be the second person to force a Game 5.
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff we're seeing from these guys. We haven't seen Warrior from SjoW in this match, haven't seen Freeze Mage from Ostkaka in this match. They've been kind of safe in their choices, and then trying to, go drastically against what they normally play. Both of these players very aware of the dynamic that's within this match.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of aggression from both players. The aggressor in the matches is usually one. Besides the first game when they had the Druid Mirror, Ostkaka came out very aggressive. SjoW weathered the storm, stayed alive by 1 damage, and then found the line to just barely get there enough at the end. Ostkaka still had a draw to win. He had a 1-outer in his deck, but he didn't get there. Then in Game 2, SjoW came out with Hunter, and beat down Ostkaka pretty fast, and then Ostkaka returned the favor there in Game 3, queuing up Face Hunter, getting it looked like a pretty easy win to me. Everything came up Ostkaka in that game. He had his mana utilization remaining high, dealing a lot of damage. It's going to be interesting to see if he does it again here in Game 4, which we're about to have, SjoW versus Ostkaka.
Yeah, I'm curious exactly what both these players are thinking in this matchup now, because we've seen wildly different strategies. Both of them going with Warrior now. I'm not too terribly surprised to see at this point. Both these guys have queued up Hunter at some point in this game, and this is a deck that can perform very well in that situation. And we don't know exactly what SjoW's strategy is yet. I mean, the Whirlwind could be an indicator that he's going for Grim Patron. We saw Inner Rage in Ostkaka's hand, and now we're seeing it in SjoW's hand. Both of these guys are playing Grim Patron Warrior.
Yeah. Sit back, relax, guys. There's going to be a lot of fireworks in this game. You're going to see a lot of boards with nothing on them and then full on the next turn. Generally, the first person to blink in these has a problem sometimes stabilizing because the other player is going to be able to kill your whole board and develop their own, but it's going to be a back and forth battle between these two, most likely. Someone might get blown out of the water, but...
Yeah, Ostkaka's now, he's thinking about whether or not he wants to, play this loot hoarder and kind of, signal over to SjoW that's exactly what he's playing, or if he wants to play this a little bit slower. I would tend to favor this. His hand doesn't have a lot of action in it right now.
Yeah, his hand does not look very good.
Yeah, needs a couple of extra cards to be picked up here to really get some utilization out of this.
Yeah, however, SjoW already has Emperor Thor's one of the most important cards in the matchup. And speaking of important cards in Warrior matchups, Harrison Jones drawn for Ostkaka. Not a card you see all the time in this deck.
Yeah, SjoW doesn't have a weapon in his hand just yet, but again, a lot of weapons are always found in this deck, so would be zero surprise to see any effectiveness from this game. But I mean, Ostkaka's turn 3 is looking absolutely dreadful.
Yeah, I mean, Ostkaka's hand was not very good this game, and it's not panning out great. You could see it in his face. He looks a little stressed, maybe a little bit of a hint of a frown there, but he's going to persevere. He's going to get through this. He knows how powerful his deck is.
Oh my gosh, and he just forgot to hero power. Just as you were mentioning, he looked a little bit stressed. He literally forgot to gain 2 armor.
We're going to have to see if that comes back to bite him. That's something we're going to have to remember later in the game. If this game gets really close, he ends up losing by 1 or 2 points of health there. That could be what spelled defeat for him.
Very rare misstep that you see from a player of this caliber. And Deathspite, I mean, excellent card to follow this up, but you gotta be sad that you miss it. I mean, it's just 2 free life.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that happens a lot with just any player at any range. You're down in a match, you feel like you haven't been as lucky as your opponent, or things haven't worked out for you, your draws haven't been as good, and sometimes you're not thinking the way you normally would, you're not paying as much attention, and things like something small like that can slip through the cracks once.
Yeah, not going to be too terribly surprised if he cycles one of these battle rages here. Just 1 card being picked up off of it. Just again, his hand is no action is going on, and that's something that this deck will do at times. Try to keep control over the board and then find the right pieces. I think he's a little bit sad to have seen no weapon at this part either, so just going to kind of move forward. Frothing Berserker, I think, is a pretty good draw in this spot, but now it's a matter of whether or not he wants to take out this Armor Smith, or just if he's okay with Frothing Berserker sitting on the board and seeing what it can do.
Yeah, I mean, generally one of the best turn 4s that a Grim Patron deck can do is playing a Deathspite, and he didn't get that out of SjoW. And it's actually pretty good when you get to eat a Deathspite, not only for taking the weapon from your opponent, but not letting them get the Whirlwind effect when they need it.
At that draw, picture
that was
perfect
huge
from SjoW right now. Going to pick up a bunch of armor, make a bunch of Grim Patrons, and Ostkaka is in danger of having this game completely slip out of control now.
Yeah, his Deathspite is actually going to be working a little bit against him here as well. He's going to leave behind a lot of Grim Patrons.
Yeah, I mean, normally he'd be able to attack and have a Whirlwind effect sweep all this up, but 2 Grim Patrons sitting on the board means it would make 2 more. He's got a Grim Patron of his own now, though.
Yeah, it's going to have to see if he can get him back into this game. He needs to deal with what's on the board now. That is a ton of damage coming from SjoW's side, and SjoW has the Warsong Commander in his hand too. So if Ostkaka were to develop his board here in some ways that aren't big enough, SjoW could actually just combo him out again next turn and make it full board of Grim Patrons.
Yeah, every single time you have a 1 or 2 health minion out and they have that Warsong Commander,
huge liability.
Clears up everything and continues to develop that board presence. It's exactly why this deck is such a big menace. But so now in this spot, what does Ostkaka have to do to move forward? I mean, does he just have to create this board tension and hope for the best? I think it's exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah, I think you just have to, as you said, create board tension here, get as full of a board as you can, and hope that, you know, things work out for you later in the game. Now, he does have a Warsong Commander Frothing Berserker in his hand, so I think what he's going to do here is create the board tension, like you said, and then look for a turn to get in a huge Frothing Berserker hit.
Yeah, this is actually really smart here from Ostkaka too. He attacked face instead of attacking one of these Grim Patrons, and what's happening in this scenario is that he doesn't get the full effect from it now, because 3 Grim Patrons took damage at the same time. It filled up his board before it could summon the 3rd one, and then everything died off. So kind of a really interesting take on how he approached this game. I mean, SjoW's got a very big board right now, but I mean, it's kind of, I mean, looking from a SjoW side of the board, I mean, do you just want to leave all this stuff up? The answer is no. So he's going to have to commit 3 of these Grim Patrons to trading off here, and he's left with 2 of them afterwards. But, you know, that's a little bit of a sigh of relief, I think, from Ostkaka, the fact that he's down to, you know, just this board. I say just this board state.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is a pretty vast improvement from what it was before. So still no way to utilize Harrison Jones, which we, you know, talked about being an important card in this matchup. The fact that SjoW hasn't drawn any weapons has actually been a blessing for him.
Yeah, it's been a great blessing for him. He's been able to dodge this Harrison Jones. Normally, when you draw Harrison Jones in the Warrior Mirror, it's the straw that breaks the camel's back. It's the big play, that big turnaround play that gets you way ahead in the game and then usually pushes you over into a win. But Ostkaka might, if he loses this game, it's a chance that it's still in his hand when he loses, because it just he hasn't had a good board to play it on or a good spot to get value from it.
Yeah, and in this spot, he's going to have to continue to leverage his life total to get this board under control. But which one of these minions do you even attack after this? Warsong Commander's a threat. Grim Patron's a threat. You can't kill both Grim Patrons, and attacking the smaller minion in this scenario is not very appealing.
Yeah, it just feels really bad to be using your Fiery War Axe against 3 health minions, and you're attacking the smallest one. Now, he has some plays with Frothing Berserker and Warsong Commander along with Fiery War Axe. He doesn't have mana for all that, I'm sorry. I thought he had 8 this turn, but none of them, as you said, are super appealing.
Take his time and see exactly how this board set's going. Otherwise, if he's playing this Frothing Berserker, you know, you could very easily see either Deathbite or Fiery War Axe. So the Frothing Berserker now going to start challenging what's on the board here. But again, his life total is getting to that very dangerous spot where any amount of burst damage is going to be able to take him out of this game.
And speaking of burst damage, you see SjoW already with a Grom in hand. So there's always the possibility that that is going to be 10 damage at any point in time in this game.
Yeah, building to that point, certainly something that happened. This turn, though, I mean, this is going to, you know, looks like it's going to pan out here for Ostkaka. He doesn't have a way to check this Frothing Berserker very well, and he's got 1 card draw to do it, but, you know, he doesn't have enough mana to draw Deathbite, and, you know, Fiery War Axe isn't quite enough to clean this up very nicely. I mean, this looks like it could potentially be a big recovery turn here for Ostkaka.
Yeah, you see Ostkaka clawing and just getting his way back in this game in any way possible. You saw him have to make some pretty inefficient plays, inefficient trades the last couple turns, but you saw him keep his head about him. He forgot, you know, just let's forget about the fact that he missed that armor up this turn and play well the next couple turns. And you know what? You're seeing him play great. Ooh, pretty good draw for SjoW there.
Yeah, I think never too disappointed to see the second one here. No, card draw, not going to be any help this turn, so just going to continue to push for face damage, and now maybe the recovery turn can happen here for Ostkaka. Picks up an Execute. He's got multiple ways now to start keeping this board under control, but at any point that this starts to slip away again, once, you know, that burst damage can always come into effect. So, you know, the fact that he took that risk early on and created that big tension with all those Grim Patrons, that was really where you saw the turn where he could potentially turn this back around.
Yeah, you're going to see him actually play Grom here this turn. He's going to clean up this board of Grim Patrons from SjoW, most likely, or maybe not. He's going to think about it here. He's going to take his time now. He's got to be a little worried. He is at 12. It's a very low life total, and he's got to have Grom in the back of his mind from SjoW. SjoW is going to turn 8. If SjoW has Grom and Inner Rage, he's actually just dead on the spot.
Yeah, so, you know, very much going to weigh his options, but I think once again he's going to come to the conclusion that he has to take some sort of a risk.
Yeah, he's going to take care of all of SjoW's board here.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really big turn for him now.
Yeah, and
I mean, is he going to kill the Gnomes Avenger? Go straight for the dome. So even a little bit more risk. Accounting for that, SjoW has got a way to activate Grom next turn.
Yeah, he needs 1 mana short of actually killing Ostkaka this turn. He needed it to be Inner Rage, not Whirlwind, but he does have some pretty appealing plays this turn. He could play Sludge Belcher plus Warsaw Commander if he just wants to develop his board a little bit more. He can get Emperor Thaurissan into play and armor up. He's got a couple options, but he's still at 31, so he's feeling good about his life total. He's just looking for a way to get in the last couple points of damage against Ostkaka, but he's starting to feel the board slip away from him.
Yeah, if this 2 damage goes to face here, it's going to put Ostkaka at an arm rep range for that Grom, and then after that, he's just hoping he doesn't see something like a Shield Block, an Armor Smith, a Sludge Belcher, any of those minions. If you don't see those things come into play, this is very much in his game to win at this point. But Ostkaka has done a fantastic job at fighting from behind this game and giving himself that chance to potentially pick up this win.
Yeah, showing you what happens a lot in the Grim Patron Mirror. Someone gets out to a big lead and the other person claws their way back in. As I said, the first person to blink the first person to get the combo off doesn't always win. The other person can recover quite well from it with their own.
Yeah, I'm going to go with this Emperor here, alleviate more of this mana, and that is that attack to face no other place for this really to go. There's no favorable spots for it. Yeah, so Ostkaka needs a big draw here or this game is going to be done.
He needs a way to keep himself, and he draws a minion with Taunt. That is huge to be able to keep him dying from Gromish next turn.
All right, so if let's say he plays this Warsong Commander this turn and plays the Despite, and he's got Dread Corsair afterwards. You're looking at 3 plus 10, that's 13, 4 more from the Despite. That's 17 damage. He's got 6 on board with this Frothing Berserker. That's 23 damage at that point. Whirlwind would give him 6 more power on that. That's 29 damage. I mean, look how close he is to just outright killing SjoW with this kind of board presence.
Yeah, and I said that SjoW was at, I think, 31 last turn, and he had to feel safe about his life total. It's unbelievable how close Ostkaka is to actually killing him this turn.
If that was a Frothing Berserker, would he have just won?
I believe he would have actually just won. It's very possible. I can't count that high, Nathan. I'm sorry.
Only 10 fingers.
Only 10 fingers and 10 toes. If it's over 20, I can't get that high.
I have to take his time. Maybe his time is running out.
Time is running out, and it's actually pretty key that he does this quickly because you have to actually go through all the animations through all these cards, and sometimes you don't have enough time. We saw this happen to Dog yesterday. He still got the win, but we saw him actually, fall to his own stuff, not getting it done quick enough.
Able to stabilize this board position. It looks like I believe everything has been queued up at this point. Now the curious one is, even attacking into that one. That put him in lethal range. The fact that he put that damage on the Dread Corsair, that's going to be enough for SjoW to Whirlwind it away and take this out. Oh my gosh.
He needed to not attack his minion there, and you're going to see SjoW play Gromish, play Whirlwind, and finish off Ostkaka here. The dream of the reverse sweep in this match is dead. Ostkaka is going to go down in his first match here in HPL. SjoW is going to prove to 2-0 here. HPL really making a statement early, queuing up great decks. He's had great choices versus his opponent's choices, and he's played unbelievably in his matches so far.
Wow, very small missteps from Ostkaka this game, actually making a big difference. The 2 armor even mattered.
I was going to say, how much did he die by?
That 2 armor mattered. The fact that he put the extra damage on his Dread Corsair mattered. These very little things add up to colossal effects in situations like this. Again, you're playing against another seasoned professional. You cannot afford to make these small little missteps. Again, Ostkaka didn't do anything like giant wrong there. It was just these tiny little things literally costing him what is potentially a win.
Now, a lot of players have said this in any kind of card game, especially a competitive one that has a lot of professionals in it. When you get 2 pros against each other, the first one or the only one to make even the smallest mistake is the one that's going to lose because they generally punish you really badly for it.
We saw that exactly in that game. But, I can't take anything away from him. I think his deck choices were really on point. At this time, it's just coming out in SjoW's favor. But you cannot afford those small little missteps, making sure to take your time, think through everything. You mentioned that he looked a little bit stressed at the beginning of the match. Perhaps that was the factor that was counting into that. So that's going to do it for this match. SjoW is going to go up 3-1 over Ostkaka, get his second win here in HPL. And when we come back, we're going to get some insights into his strategy, exactly what he was thinking and how he took on Ostkaka. Guys, don't go anywhere. When we come back, that interview, you're watching Hearthstone on PvP Live.